right, guys, welcome to another action-packed episode of Native MMA Radio. Waleed is going to have a drink of water while we sit here and look beautiful. But UFC 250 was last Saturday night from the Apex Center, the very first pay-per-view out of the Apex Center, and it was a amazing show. From top to bottom, it was filled with a bunch of stars. I know a lot of people ahead of this were complaining that there wasn't huge star power, but I really think after Saturday night, they realized that there was a ton of star power on the card. Now, obviously, Amanda Nunes, if any male MMA fighter had the accolades that she would have, there would be no question that that said guy is the GOAT. So why is Amanda Nunes not talked about in the same context as a guy would be? I really kind of feel like that's almost sexist as MMA fans, that we do not consider Amanda the greatest of all time, period. Stop putting the greatest female in. There's no need to put the female in front of there anymore because she's far surpassed that. At this point in time, in the world of MMA, she is the greatest fighter of all time.
Right now, in the pound-for-pound ranking, like, there's no debate. She is the number one fighter. I don't believe that there's nobody close to her.
But even
in all time,
history retrospect, in all time, realistically, who has the accolades that she has?
Listen, I prefer to talk about the all-time after the fighter retire, okay? Because we don't know. Let's imagine she has a fight. Yeah.
Currently, as it stands, if Amanda was to retire today, who do you think has a better resume than her? And I only want to hear about two names.
Well, listen, the level of competition she's facing right now, is it that high? Is it the level of the guys of GSP was fighting? So there's
some huge competition. Again, he took out Koscheck, looked very good in that fight. Fitch looked very good in that fight. Made Fitch go over to Bellator.
Yeah,
I mean,
GSP
did
Shield,
a lot. Jake Shield. Now, okay, so the two names that I was mentioning, George St. Pierre is obviously one of those names that I would consider, at least being on the Mount Rushmore of MMA.
John Jones.
Exactly. John Jones. Take away everything outside of the cage and just look at what he's done inside. He has a phenomenal resume. And if he does decide to go up to heavyweight at one point, I think he would have the strongest claim to greatest of all time. If we're talking about just pure physical specimen too, I mean, John Jones was mixed martial arts before it was a thing, back when we were like, singular fighters and stuff. And he really transitioned it into the world that we know now.
I believe he's the guy who defeated the most former champion in the history of MMA.
I don't know. Maybe the guy, but Amanda Nunes has fought almost every single bantamweight champion that there ever was, and every single featherweight champion there ever was. She beat Jermaine Durandame, Chris Cyborg. She beat Miesha Tate, Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, and John Jones, like, there's Rampage, Lyoto.
Dan Henderson.
Vitor.
Oh, no, Dan Henderson was in UFC champ. Vitor.
No, just champion in general. Maybe not.
Okay, well then Hendo.
Yeah, DC.
There's got to be more that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah,
right
maybe.
Now. I feel like there's more. Or they might be tied at this point. But that is a completely different discussion. We can go down that wormhole another day. I mean, this card was great, top to bottom. Let's go ahead and just start off the night. Herbert Burns, with some amazing jiu-jitsu, ran out there in 1 minute and 20 seconds and finishes Evan Dunham. Herbert Burns has now called out the likes of, Kron Gracie, and also, he would love to fight Bryce Mitchell. I would love to see either one of those matchups. What do you think's next for the younger Burns brother?
Listen, I believe the Burns are the hottest, and I'm not trying to make, a joke or whatever because their name is Burns, but they are the hottest brother right now in the MMA world. Sure. His brother will be facing Kamaru Usman for the belt. Him with this phenomenal first round submission. Yeah, a fight against Kron Gracie would be great, and he should be pushing for a bigger fight like his brother is doing right now. He's pushing for big fights, and great performance by him.
No, for sure. I would love to see him up against another one of those crazy jiu-jitsu guys, like a Crone or Bryce Mitchell. I mean, he's hot right
Yeah,
now as well. Put those two in there.
exactly.
It'd be an amazing experience. Now, in the light heavyweight division, Devin Clark squeaked out a unanimous decision victory over Alonzo Minifield. I just feel like Minifield didn't do enough to even try to capitalize to win the fight. He had his moments in the fight where he
Yeah.
looked like he was ready to explode, but it just never came to fruition.
Yeah, before the fight, for me, that was one of the biggest surprise of the night because I thought that Alonso would just, go on
His
and
cardio,
destroy.
his cardio
Yeah,
over 3 rounds is not there.
yeah. So he needs to go back and do some cardio work because that's not how you will not go far in the UFC
Or
with
maybe
this level of
adjust
cardio.
your game plan and don't come out as strong if you know you have those cardio issues. Now, I'm not saying that they can't be corrected. Obviously, anything with the right coaching can be corrected, but if it might not happen right away, so maybe we, try not to come out of the gate at 150. You maybe want to come out at 120 instead.
Maybe it was an off night. I don't know. For me, it was a surprise. I really thought that Alonso was going to the first round.
Yeah.
I was totally wrong in this fight. I
Well,
was
that's
totally
what he's
wrong.
done. He's done it so many times. Those first round, I believe he's got 8 out of his
Yeah.
9 victories are all first round finishes. Crazy, crazy fight. Devin Clark, though, the future. I would love to see what the light heavyweight division has for him. Jalil, he fought a couple weeks ago. I would love to see those two go at it.
That would be amazing. Last week, actually, we talked about Alonso fighting against him, but since Alonso lost, why not?
Here
Why
we
not
go.
Devin? Why not Devin
Exactly.
Clark?
Now in the flyweight division, which was the main event for the early prelims, Jercio Formiga got his leg kicked off and then got his other leg kicked off by Alex Perez. And that took about 4 minutes and 6 seconds of the entire fight. Alex Perez went out there with a very specific game plan, and that was to get that calf kick in. He started it very early and then just kept going. As soon as Jussier switched, he ate up the other leg. He went back to his dominant leg, and it took about 2 more shots after that. And I believe it was a total of 20 leg kicks at least, and
something
15,
like
something
that.
like that. It was a lot, and he won the fight. Beautiful leg kicks, beautiful technique. Obviously, this game plan is being used a lot more in MMA as of right now, and I really feel like we're going to see a lot more of it, especially when you see how well it works.
But those leg kicks are actually really, really, really efficient right now. But every time a guy is throwing a leg kick, I'm some sort of afraid for him to get checked because if it's so scary. Even when the guy don't check those kick, you get hurt. You can't have I believe this is what I think. I think that
you seen the doctor come in after the fight and look at Perez's foot.
I don't think that you can, in your whole MMA career, in your 20 or 25 MMA fights, just keep on throwing leg kicks. I believe that your body can throw. There's a number of leg kicks you can throw in your MMA career. It's too dangerous. Your foot gets hurt, and you can't do that. We saw the Tyron Woodley not throwing leg kicks. We don't know why. The Jose Aldo, we don't know why. I believe there's a reason. You can't always go out and throw leg kicks.
Look what happened to Anderson.
Yeah, just ask Anderson Silva. The most scary injury, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely that or the Tim Sylvia arm break, one of the two.
Yeah.
Now, in the preliminary portion of the fight card, Maki Patolo showed that he is in the right division now. 185 pounds is definitely the home that he needs to be in. He didn't really have a whole lot of problems making 170 pounds up until his last fight. But now that he's moved to 185 pounds, I really feel like this was the correct division for him to be in at the entire time. He looked fast, and he looked like he definitely had enough power to go in there and bang with the real contender in Charles Byrd. Now, Charles Byrd, after the fight, actually went on his Instagram page and announced his retirement from the fight game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he retired. Did he say the reason why he retired, or it was just
ready for his next venture in life?
Okay, he's a good fighter, but whatever. I believe that he lost in this fight. I'm not sure what are the reason for him to retire, but like Dana White always say, if you're thinking of it, just retire. So yeah.
Unless it's Connor, because he's thought about it a million times.
Let's talk about that later. I have some shit to say about that.
We'll talk about that when we're wrapping it all up. In the featherweight division, Cody Stamann looked amazing against Brian Kelleher. Cody Stamann lost his brother days before the fight, and you could tell after the fight, he just let all that emotion out. It was an amazing victory for Cody. He looked great, but just the emotion that went into it, you can tell even walking to the octagon, he was, feeling the moment. He was able to capitalize and still, perfect his game plan and work it to get himself a victory. But you can tell that everything was weighing on him heavily. And as soon as the bell rang, he let all that emotion out. It was an emotional thing to even watch. Cody Stamann, though, went in there and did the damn thing. Hats off to Brian Kelleher. A true class act, 100%.
Yeah, Cody looked amazing in this fight. I believe that the tragic events didn't affect his performance at all, even maybe, boosted him. For me, I think that it didn't affect him at all. I believe that's what a true professional really looks like. And beautiful performance.
100%. Ian Heinisch went out there and made quick work of it. Gerald Meerschaert, 1 minute and 14 seconds into the fight. Did you expect Heinisch to go in there and just lay out a victory like that and just put an onslaught of striking like he did on Gerald?
Not really. This is the second surprise maybe in this night for me. I didn't see that fight go, to be ended in the first round. I thought that maybe it will last longer. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a surprise.
I thought Gerald's chin was going to hold up. I don't know if that speaks volumes to his chin or Ian Heinisch's striking power. I mean, the dude went out there and landed some big bombs on Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah, I believe Ian power is underestimated. I think that we didn't think that he had that much power, but the dude can throw.
He definitely clearly has power. Now in the that was the middleweight division. In the featherweight division, we have the fight of the preliminary card. Alex Caceres goes in there and shocks the world by completely dominating Chase Hooper. 100% dominating the kid to his very first loss in his entire career. Alex Caceres showed that his striking is very, very good, and Chase Hooper's striking is probably his biggest weakness.
Yeah, like we said before we started recording, like father, like son. I believe Chase Hooper have some striking issue, like Ben Askren. And I believe that's a learning experience. He's still young.
Very young.
Very
19,
young.
20.
So there's a lot of to be learned from that loss. It's not like a huge loss by knockout in the first round. It's a decision loss against a more mature, more well-rounded fighter.
Been in the UFC forever. You look at his 16-12 record. That's 85% UFC caliber fighters. I mean, he was in the Ultimate Fighter, and then he's pretty much been here ever since. He was in the Ultimate Fighter, I want to say back in like 2004.
Something like that. Ever since I watched the UFC, I think
he started in 2011. Okay, that's how long. 2011 was his very first UFC fight. Here we are, almost 20 years later, and Bruce Leroy is still doing the damn thing. This time against much younger competition in Chase Hooper, and the fact that Chase Hooper had a lot of hype behind him, you knew that he was going to eventually run into somebody who was going to give him a run for his money, because he gets hit a lot. And that is, I think, the biggest problem with Chase Hooper. But you've seen in his past that he was able to work that to his advantage, to where he would get hit, fall on the ground, and guys would try to go on the ground with him. Bruce Leroy was a lot smarter in instances where he did get him hurt and he ended up on the ground. He would allow him to stand up instead of try to go in there and possibly get submitted by a very slick submission artist.
Yeah, perfect game plan from Alex. For Chase Hooper, I believe that now we've seen what's his lacking. Like it's striking. He needs
takedowns.
He can work this out. He's still young.
He goes sees his dad, and they drill some double legs and some single legs. Whoo, watch out.
As long as he doesn't learn striking from him, we're all good.
Listen, he better go to Ariel Helwani boxing school if he wants to learn
Yeah,
striking.
it's the same. Exactly.
Now, we're going to start off with a slew of huge bantamweight fights and 2 other great performances. Let's talk about the very first bantamweight fight of the main card, and that was Sugar Sean O'Malley putting on a huge walk-off KO with 1 minute and 54 seconds into the first round. Tell me, in your opinion, did you think that Sean O'Malley was going to have that much power in his hands? Did you think that he was going to be able to put out Eddie Wineland like he did? And what do you see next for him?
So for me, I thought that Sean O'Malley was going to win, but I didn't think that he would defeat him in the first round. I thought that maybe, he will beat him maybe in the second or third, pure striking. I didn't know that he had that much power. So now that we know that he also have this fucking power, he is one of the most terrifying fighter in this division.
Well, you and I talked about this last episode. He really filled into his body, during the break and before the Quinones fight. He went in there, fought Quinones, looked amazing. Now coming in here, huge knockout against Wineland. I really feel like you could easily give this kid another fucking top talent fighter right now. You could boost him right into the top 10 with a huge name.
Listen, this guy, when I see him fight, he has this aura reminding me of McGregor when he started. Yeah, 100%. It's the same thing.
Yes.
The guy
see it, right? The dude has the it factor, for sure. Yeah. The crazy fucking hair, the amazing jiu-jitsu. He's a stoner. He's a great striker, as you can tell. Yeah. I mean, the dude literally has it all the makings to become a star. He's perfect in his 12-0. He's 12-0. I mean, damn. Think about that. If he gets to 15-0, it's going to be kind of hard to deny him a top name or a title shot.
So many big names for him to fight. He's calling out Cody Garbrandt. I don't want to see that yet. I want the build-up to be more. I believe Cody should be on a 2 or 3 winning fighting streak, and Sean O'Malley killing people like 2 or 3 more guys. Then maybe have them fight on the top like Cody wants. This is what I want for both of them.
Now, I mean, Sugar Show has a bright future. I'm very interested to see who he fights next. I'm down for the Cody Garbrandt fight. I'm also down for, anybody else in that top 10 in the bantamweight division. Really anyone. Pedro Munoz. There's tons of names out there. Great fights for him. I mean, he could very easily be in that title picture here in a fight or two, for sure.
Exactly. For sure.
Now, in the welterweight division, Neil Magny has shown that he has made the stride since returning from his suspension. He looked great against Ji Ling Leong in his last fight, and now it looked even better against Anthony Rocco Martin. Completely one-sided victory for Neil Magny. Now, for you, did you think that Neil was going to be able to outstrike Anthony Rocco Martin like he did? He outstruck him by almost 40 strikes.
Yeah, he have that reach advantage, which is huge. I thought, for me, Neil Magny is a very talented guy. I didn't feel like he will lose this fight. Like DC said...
The Haitian sensation, too. I just want to point that as a new nickname.
Yeah. DC said he's a 5-round fighter, and he's totally right. He wasn't tired at all after the end of the 3 round. And Neil Magny can go on and fight for days. His cardio is good. He have the reach advantage. At this point, the dude have like 30 fights. It's amazing. His MMA record is beautiful. And yeah, just very exciting to see what's next for him.
What do you think he deserves next? Now, he's currently not in the top 15, but that could all change later on.
Yeah. I'm not sure about it right now. The problem with I don't know exactly who are the fighters that actually can fight right now.
This is true. We do have Fight Island, though. That is a real thing. It's going to be in Abu Dhabi. We're going to talk about that on the next episode. I'm excited for that. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, we are all excited, man. That shit is crazy.
100%. Now, the other and probably the most impressive bantamweight fight out of all of them Aljamain Sterling went in there and submitted Corey Sandhagen with a dirty rear naked choke 1 minute and 28 seconds into their fight, solidifying himself as the true #1 contender for whoever comes out of that Jan Aldo title fight. I truly think Aljamain Sterling is going to be a problem for either one of those gentlemen.
Well, he proved that he is the #1 contender for this belt. If we didn't have that issue that we need a guy who can sell the fight, I believe Aljamain Sterling would be fighting for the belt against Peter Yan. It's just that we need a guy like Aldo to sell tickets. This is what it's all about. Aldo don't deserve a title fight at all. And maybe if it's his last MMA fight, I can see that if they know something we don't know. But other than that, he doesn't deserve a title fight. He didn't win his last fight.
He didn't even win his. Yeah, I was about to say he didn't even win his last fight.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, listen, I think personally right now, if someone is to get injured, I think Aljamain Sterling obviously walked out 1 minute and 28 seconds. He's completely injury free. I think he could walk in there and step into fight either one of those two.
Aljo looked amazing. Took him to the ground, and that rear naked. He didn't get it in the first attempt.
No, but he readjusted his grip. Yeah, it was lights out.
It was under the chin, and he nasty, very nasty. Aljamain Sterling, congratulations, great fight, and next fight for him should be for the belt.
No, for sure, it'll be interesting too. If they can get a guy out of that next fight completely injury free, I really feel like you could have that title fight within the next month or two. I mean, really, if you want to keep pushing out fights like you're doing, I could see that happening, no problem.
It would be amazing, yeah.
Now, in the bantamweight division, the co-main event of the night, Cody Garbrandt showed that he is here and he is here to stay. It took him 2 rounds, but it was the final second of the second round where he landed a vicious right hook. He looked like he was reaching from the back of his leg for it and knocked out Rafael Assunção with a minute on the clock, or a second, on the clock. It was probably one of the most nastiest knockouts I've seen outside of that Weiland one. I mean, if you did not have those two on the same exact card, you would be talking about these knockouts for months to come. I really feel like these 2 knockouts are going to be both contenders of knockout of the year. For sure.
O'Malley actually trashed the Garbrandt knockout, said that it was just a lucky punch. Let's talk about the stats. If you see the stats, actually Assunção was doing pretty good against Garbrandt.
Yes.
If it went to decision, I believe that fight could have been gone either way.
I think that third round would have really been the deciding factor. I feel like Cody might have had the edge in the second, but Assunção definitely had the edge in the first.
But that's like a who-know fight, because that was not a clear performance by Garbrandt like O'Malley against Wineland.
Well, you could definitely say that O'Malley's was calculated and fucking beautiful. It was precise. He landed right on the button, ended the fight, called it a day. Cody Garbrandt is a little different. I almost feel like he was about to get into that firefight and then just threw that right hand and said, no, we're not doing it. It's not going to happen.
He needed that win so much. I believe in his next fight, he will look even way better, way better. I just think that's, coming out 3 loss after being a world champion and defeating Dominic Cruz in that fashion, that's tough, man.
But then losing to TJ, and then losing to TJ again, and then losing to Pedro Munoz.
Yeah.
All of these by knockout.
Crazy. He needed that win so bad. What did you think of that new version of Cody Garbrandt? He changes his coaches. Did you see anything different?
Mark Henry, man. I really feel like there's a huge difference that we're seeing, especially with his striking. I mean, I'm not knocking the alpha male guys, but they're a grappling school. You know what I mean? And Mark Henry has really evolved into an MMA school. I really feel like Mark Henry is the way to go, especially if he wants to have success at the bantamweight division. I'm not knocking those, like I said, American Top Team, Alpha Man has great guys. They're still in his corner, a lot of his guys. He is still technically an alpha male fighter. He
Yeah.
just goes down and trains with those guys out in New Jersey. But you could definitely tell the difference in his striking, and he's more polished. He's not trying to get into the firefights. He's aware of the situation, and he's more calculated for sure.
Yeah. I feel like he have like some ropes on him and they're holding him like, no, don't go to that fight.
Yeah.
Like that's all they need to do. No. Just strike normally, through some jabs. Don't go crazy. Like every time they pull him back, like don't go crazy. That's what I feel. But I like this new version. That's what he needed. Yeah, he needed some changes. He needed some changes. Those two fights against TJ, it went too personal. Alpha male, I love the guy. I love Team Alpha Male. He's still on Team Alpha Male, like you say, but yeah, he definitely needed this change.
100%. Who do you think had the better knockout?
O'Malley.
For sure. I mean, just the way it was so. I mean, I'm not trying to harp on Garbrandt, but O'Malley's right. It was it wasn't maybe a lucky punch, but it definitely wasn't something. He didn't mean to reach in his pocket and knock him the fuck out. Okay, that wasn't the plan.
Well, Garbrandt is pure power. O'Malley, there's a lot of technique and a lot of power. There's everything, yeah. There's everything in that.
Conor McGregor treatment. I'm telling you, man, this kid's got the it factor.
He have it. Like.
Now, before I talk about what I think is, or who I think is the greatest fighter of all time and why I think that she deserves this crown, I want to talk about her opponent 1 sec. The heart that this girl showed over 2 fights is amazing. If you don't think they should build this featherweight division, just look at Felicia Spencer. Now, she is completely undefeated except for 2 people, Amanda Nunes and Chris Cyborg. She hung in there for 7 rounds with, collectively with both those women. Those are 2 of the greatest featherweights of all time. She didn't get finished. And although there were the Amanda Nunes fight was a one-sided fight, the Cyborg fight could have went a different way. Had there been more rounds, definitely Felicia could have won that. But she took 2 of the greatest female featherweight fighters of all time's best punches and stood right in front of them and kept going. That chick has a ton of heart. And eventually when Amanda Nunes wants to hang this up and just be a mom full time, I really think Felicia Spencer is going to be the girl who takes this division and runs with it.
Well, I'm not sure if Amanda is going to retire or whatever. I'm not sure about that. Do you think that she's going to retire or something?
I mean, give it 3 more fights, maybe a year and a half. What else does she have to prove?
Well, she's defeating opponents easily. She can just keep on winning and gaining money. I believe that's for her. It's a easy paycheck after easy paycheck.
But I still think the paychecks would be there. I think the UFC would hire her on. I think the UFC would offer her a job dealing with international fighters.
Oh, maybe.
Dealing with especially women from Brazil.
Yeah, it's possible, but they need listen. This is the MMA world. This is the fighting world. We all want and love that undefeated type of character that destroy everyone. There's still fights for her. We can talk about Valentina.
Listen, like DC said, if her and Valentina just want to fight like a best of 7 NBA series, I'm down.
I'm
fucking down.
I believe we already said that. I told you that. I believe
Dana said that Wei Li Zhang is next for Valentina when in compares to mega fights.
Well, this is a great fight, but why do we have weight class then? If you don't defend your belt, what's going on? It's mayhem. I prefer those. Wei Li Zhang defended her belt only 1 time, I believe. So. Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think eventually they want her to defend it a couple more times, maybe get Rose in there, whoever, she does be able to figure out a next title shot for her. I think the problem is with her, though, is you can't really bring her into the country right now. And I think it's just going to be hard to figure out all those logistics at this point.
Well, if Cyborg didn't leave the UFC, we wouldn't have that issue because Cyborg would be fighting Amanda for the 2nd or 3rd time or whatever. Because, sure. That's what needed to happen, but she's not here, so yeah, I don't know.
Who do you think is next for Amanda Nunes, and do you think that she fights for the 135-pound title next, or do you think that she gives somebody else, like maybe a Megan Anderson, a 145-pound title shot?
Well, Megan is for sure the number one contender for that belt.
Yeah, but Felicia Spence already beat her. I mean, do you really think that's a good option?
Why not? Listen, do you think that there's any fighter that can defeat her in that division?
Currently in the UFC?
Yeah,
No.
no. So that's why I'm telling
The
you.
one girl that comes to mind for me is her training partner, Kayla Harrison.
Even that, listen. I believe that she will not be defeated in this division. Maybe in the bantamweight division, maybe.
Who?
But
Who could beat her in the bantamweight division? Who do you see right now that is currently even ranked in the bantamweight division that even stands a chance against Amanda Nunes?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Actually,
it's really hard to really find anybody that's like, okay, I thought it was going to be Caitlin Vieira. That didn't happen. Caitlin lost her last fight. So here we are. I mean, there's not a whole lot of options right now.
Amanda maybe should be waiting. Like they need maybe to make some sort of tournament to see who deserves to fight her. And she can sit there like in Mortal Kombat, like Shao Kahn on the throne, and just sit there and watch them. This is what I will do with her. Like I will really give her that persona, that undefeated character from a video game, because that's what she is right now.
So girls that she hasn't fought yet. Aspen Ladd is number 3 in the world. Juliana Pena is 4. Irene Aldana is 5. Out of those 3 girls, I mean, Aspen Ladd, maybe. I feel like that's too early for Aspen. I really feel like Aspen Ladd is a great fighter. I just don't know if right now is the right time for her to face somebody like Amanda Nunes.
Well, those fighters is either a decent grappler with the weak striking, or medium ranked striking with the level of grappling that's not that good. So, and for like Amanda, who's perfect at everything almost, I don't see any of them beating her.
In the women's pound for pound ranking, they have Weili Zhang ranked number 2. It goes Amanda Nunes, Weili Zhang, Valentina Shevchenko, Jessica Andrade, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Okay. Let's
do you have a problem with that?
I do have a huge problem with that. Okay. Valentina Shevchenko is maybe the 1B to any conversation to the women's GOAT.
Yeah.
Any conversation. Weili Zhang has been here for a minute and beat one guy or one female. You know what I mean? I don't really feel like she can be considered the number 2 pound for pound fight. I really feel like if you put her against Valentina at 125 pounds, she gets fucked up.
Well, maybe they made her the number 2 after that fight against Joanna, which was one of the best fights. Yeah, it was a great fight. I believe if Valentina
Who wore the hematoma better, Joanna or Felicia Spencer?
Joanna.
For sure.
Sure. But listen, Valentina, if she fight next and she win, I believe that she will leapfrog, and she will become the number 2. That's what I think. I believe that they like the last one who fight will be number 2. That this is what happening between them. It's also the UFC needs to sell the Asian markets, yes. So there's a lot to that. Nobody cares about those rankings. We all know that.
In the women's bantamweight division, out of the women she hasn't faced, those 3 that I mentioned, Ladd, Pena, Aldana, who do you think Nunes should face next?
Well, the fight that makes sense is Aspen Ladd, but
ranked number 3 in the world.
I don't see her defeating Amanda Nunes. I don't see her.
Honestly, out of all those women's, the one I think would give her the most problem is number 5, Irene Aldana.
I agree with you.
I really feel like, especially after Aldana's last performance against Caitlin Vieira, I really feel like Aldana would give her the biggest problems. I just don't know if she has what it takes to beat her. And I really feel like we're going to look at these rankings and say that for a minute. I mean, if you look at it, number 1, let's just go down the top 15. 15 up. Nico Montana. She's not beating Amanda Nunes anytime soon. Sajara Eubanks. Nah. Betcha Correa. I love her, but no. Macy Kishan. No. I mean, honestly, Macy has the physical characteristics that you would want against somebody like Amanda. So possibly in the future, she might be able to get there. Lena Landsberg, I don't think so. Mariana Renew, I don't think so. Sarah McCann, Yana Kunitskaya. Caitlin Vieira, I thought until she fought Irene Aldana. I really feel like out of everybody, Aldana gives her the best, run for her money.
Stylistically, Aldana is good. Stylistically, Aldana. I prefer to see Aldana against Amanda Nunes than Aspen Ladd against Amanda Nunes. Stylistically, I believe it's a better matchup.
100%. Now, for you had some comments about one Conor McGregor and his multiple retirements. I really feel like this is the best portion of the show to discuss that. Now, what is this, like 5?
Listen,
he's retired more times than he's had defending title shots.
Well, this shit started ever since the UFC 200. After that, Nate Diaz, what happened? He retired then.
Yeah.
And we have Khabib. They're like the mainstream media is selling this idea that he retired, and there is no one in the MMA world that's really believed that. No one. I
haven't listened to Conor McGregor's retirement speeches since UFC 200.
Joe Rogan said no. Ben Askren don't believe in that. Dana White, he will not go in public and say that he doesn't believe that, but he didn't say that he believed that. We don't believe that. The fans
you say it all the time. Any fighter ever mentions the word retirement, what is the first thing that Dana White says? Well, if you're already mentioning the R word, you should probably hang it up. Unless it's Conor McGregor. Then he's like, Conor got a lot of things going on. We'll see what he wants to do later.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. Listen, McGregor always pull up that card to get, to boost. So he like it's a promotional move. For us, the MMA fans, we don't care. For the mainstream media, they care. Like my sister told me that she actually watched the news, like the French news, and she told me that in France they talked about him retiring in a platform that don't even talk about sports at all. So this is how big it is for the mainstream media. We don't care. We know what's up. But the mainstream media, they don't know what's up. So, yeah, listen, what he's doing actually work. So, I don't know.
So, just for the record, you don't think he's retired?
No. Do you think he's retired?
Fuck no. I never thought he was retired. It's Conor. Come on, yeah. It's Conor. Let's be
listen.
But I do want to point out that fucking liquor that he made, Proper 12. Has made him a ton of money. If he wanted to retire today, he could. No fucking problem. He's got a ton of cash.
But he's crazy. He wants to fight. He's crazy. He's a crazy man. He always said that he's crazy. So, yeah. And listen, I will tell you something else. I don't believe any of those 4 fighters that had retired between him, Masvidal, John Jones, and I feel like I'm forgetting someone, but I'm not sure. And Henry, the first 5 minutes in the GRE podcast, not even the middle, the first 5 minutes, I'm retired, but there's actually one fight and we talked about it before even he said that he was retiring, that Volkanovski fight, me and you.
Yes.
Listen, I don't believe, how can I believe them? I don't believe them at all. Masvidal, it's all for the paycheck. He got leapfrogged, so right now he's not in a good position. John Jones, we all know that when the crowd will come up, Dana White will give him. Listen, Dana White changed states for John Jones to fight.
For sure.
Yeah, so he will find a way to work things with him.
Anything else on UFC 250, sir?
Well, if your phone stopped ringing, I will tell you that Sean O'Malley Sean O'Malley performance was amazing, man. Like, too much. It was too much to handle. When I watched it, I was like, what the fuck am I watching? What the fuck am I looking at? Like, man, like the McGregor type of, or Anderson Silva, or any huge Israel Adesanya, any huge striking star. He have the jiu-jitsu also, so good luck with that. Yeah, really looking forward for his next fight.
The Sugar Show is here, and we are all just along for the ride.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the future of this young man. The future is bright for him. The bantamweight division is very dangerous and very stacked, even after Triple C left. Imagine if he was still in it and you bring TJ back in January. Whoo, the bantamweights is stacked. That about wraps it up for our coverage of UFC 250. You guys need to stay more classy because shit is crazy out there right now. All right?
It is. Yeah, it is. It is weird and weird. And you know what? I will finish with the one word. And that one word actually means a lot. Peace.